Okay, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Straight Buckets. We have a special episode for you guys today. Playoffs are starting tomorrow, and today's Friday, so playoffs start tomorrow, Saturday. And we're here to give our take on the playoffs. My name's Todd. I'm here with Brandon and Zach again.
What's up?
Let's go ahead and get things started. So as far as everything goes, we're going to be talking today about maybe some keys to the matchups of each matchup for the first round of the playoffs, maybe some X factors, and of course we'll be giving our predictions. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start off with the Eastern Conference. We'll start off with the 1 versus the 8 seed. Boston somehow managed to pull out the 1 seed in the East, so they'll be facing off against the Chicago Bulls. So let's go ahead and get things started. Let's start with some keys for each team. What do you think, Brandon?
I think it's going to be a fairly gritty series. Keys for Boston. It's not too hard for them in terms of shooting because they are easily a better shooting perimeter team than Chicago. So they have to outshoot. Chicago. They got to try to find a way to get other guys involved other than Isaiah Thomas if he gets bogged down by double teams and stuff like that. And they just have to continue playing good defense. On Chicago's side, I would say Chicago's been weird this season because they're really lopsided. They have some pretty strong wins against some really good teams. I mean, they went undefeated against Cleveland, and they beat some other good teams. They beat Golden State, but then they have some really disappointing losses against some pretty bad teams. So they're confusing. But I think with Dwayne Wade's playoff experience and along with Rondo's, I think they have a good chance. They have to try to – it's tough to say. I think they just to win this series for Chicago, they just have to be a really well-oiled defensive team and try to keep this a low-scoring matchup for them to have a chance.
That makes sense. What do you think might be some X factors, Zach? What do you think could be something that might surprise some people with this matchup?
I think you might be able to see Boston moving away from some of their small ball and maybe take advantage of a weak front court that Chicago has. I think you have Amir Johnson and Al Horford, who are both very hard-working big men who know how to score the basketball. You've seen it. You've seen them do it night in, night out over their careers. I just see them winning this series easily if they can take advantage of the front court battle.
Makes sense. So what are you guys' predictions?
Go ahead, Zach.
I think that Boston's going to pull this one out, but Chicago will definitely give them a lot more trouble than people expect. I see this game being decided, and I think it's going to go to 6 games. That's about it.
Okay. What about
I agree with Zach. I think this series is going to be a lot closer than people expect. If you're looking for an upset, not saying it would happen, but this could be a good chance. The way Chicago has been streaky and has chances to play good teams when the lights are brightest. I agree with Zach. I think it's either going to go 6 or maybe 7.
Okay, I have to disagree with you guys on the length. I think Boston's pulling this one out in 5, honestly. I can only see the Bulls taking 1 game, if any. But that's my prediction, and let's move things along. Let's move to the next matchup. We got the Wizards and the Hawks. All right, what do you think are some keys for both teams here, Zach?
I think the Wizards are a very stacked team, and if you look at their bench, you see Bojan Bogdanovic and you see Trey Burke, who I just saw play against the Heat a couple nights ago. The guy can flat-out score. I think they just need to take some of the pressure off their starters and just use their bench effectively. Atlanta doesn't look that deep in my eyes. I think that Washington can take this team and beat them in 5 or 6 games. I think they just got to slow down and play at a pace they're comfortable with.
Okay. What are some X factors we can look for, in your opinion, Brandon, from these teams?
Well, I think you're going to have your obvious players playing well on both sides. You're going to have Paul Millsap needs to play well for the Hawks to have a chance. Dwight Howard needs to play well down low. On the Wizards side, they both need their backcourt to outshoot and outscore the other team. I think an X factor would be one of the bench players. in terms, I think Otto Porter, he comes off the bench for Washington, right?
Occasionally.
Occasionally?
Starting.
Okay.
I don't know if he's.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not familiar with the starting lineup, but I think he could be a deciding factor on Washington side, and maybe Kent Bazemore on at the Atlanta Hawks side. But I don't see this being a tough series at all for Washington. I actually think they sweep.
Okay.
I think it's 4-0.
What do you think?
Really? I do not see it being a sweep. I've seen Dwight Howard carry an Orlando team to the finals. I know he's not in that shape anymore. I know he's had some issues. But I also think that Schroeder's a very underrated point guard. I think they have some good scoring on that team. I think it could go to 6 games.
And so you have the Wizards in 6?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm going to upset alert here. My prediction is that Atlanta will take this in 6 games.
Oh, wow.
Well, you got to look at experience.
You do got to look at experience, but I'm looking mostly at coaching. What I see here is Budenholzer. If I cannot pronounce that correctly.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Budenholzer is a genius. And when it comes to the playoffs, the Hawks historically in the past couple of years have done decently. And the Wizards haven't done too great in the playoffs as of late in the John Wall era. So with that being said, the Wizards, I feel like they've only, if I'm correct, they haven't advanced past the first round in, I don't know, maybe like 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe the Wizards can pull this one out, but I think when it comes down to it, Paul Millsap, Dwight Howard, Kent Bazemore, Cephalosha, Hardaway Jr. has also been playing really well as of late. And let's not forget that they did destroy the Cavs without their starters playing. So with that being said, I think that Atlanta will be taking this one and surprising a lot of people.
Wow.
All right, moving along. Let's see. We have the Raptors against the Bucks. All right, Zach. I know this may sound obvious, so we're gonna sort of start with Brandon and let the Toronto love come a little later. Brandon, what do you see as keys for both of these teams in this matchup?
As keys, I mean, at least for Toronto side, they have the idea of making a deep playoff run. So at least for them, it's getting Kyle Lowry really involved. Try to get everything flowing back again so he can be ready come second round. And from Milwaukee side, I mean, they've struggled defensively, and that Toronto is going to be trying to have a defensive game plan against the Greek Freak, which is kind of hard to do because you don't know what he's going to pull off. And, they have some other players around. I would say that Malcolm Brogdon, the rookie, could actually be a factor in this series and make it a little interesting. He might be low-key, and nobody's going to expect what he could do.
Okay. What do you think, Zach? What are some X factors we can expect from this matchup?
All right, I see 2 quality backcourts. I think the not having Jabari Parker is going to be a problem for Milwaukee. You have to really rely on 3 guys to score the ball consistently throughout the series. Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Malcolm Brogdon. And I think the Raptors have very good defensive guards. And I think the Raptors also have a ton of scoring down low. I think what it'll come down to, if DeRozan and Lowry continue to have playoff lows, I think it'll be guys like Ibaka and Valanciunas that'll pick it up come playoff time, like Valanciunas did last year, and really give the Raptors an easy road through this first round.
Okay. All right, we'll start off with predictions. I'll start off with mine. I think the Raptors will sweep, but I think that the Bucks, they should look to have have as much experience as possible when it comes to this series. Play as hard as they can because they're young. And with whatever experience they can get with Jason Kidd as their coach, I feel like give the team a couple of years and they'll be in the top half of the East. So with that being said, Toronto sweeps in my opinion. Let's go to you, Brandon.
It's tough because I'm a big fan of Milwaukee's. I like the young core that they have, but I have a lot of respect for Toronto over there and the guys of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan and how nasty they can be on some nights. I at first, I was actually thinking this would be a tougher series and maybe go 7, but now I'm starting to think it's going to go 5 or 6. To your point, Todd, there's a lot of inexperience on their side other than Jason Kidd, and he's not even out there playing. And, Giannis is great, but they just lack a lot of holes in some key areas that matter in the playoffs. They need to spread the floor, and they don't have a lot of perimeter shooting. I think that's going to hurt them in this series against Toronto.
What they truly lack is consistency. Giannis put up an incredible year, incredible stat line this season, but him, Monroe, Middleton's been inconsistent, especially with his health. They will need to outplay themselves to even make this series go to 6 games. I am very surprised that Todd had the Raptors taking all 4 games, all the first 4 games. I'm going to say the Raptors win in 5.
Okay, it's fair enough. With that being said, let's move on to the last matchup in the East. And this, of course, involves the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. That's right. We have a Stevenson-James rematch. Let's see if he blows in his ear again. All right. So let's just start up with some keys. Let's start off with some keys from you, Zach. What are some keys for both of these teams come this matchup?
All right. You look at Indiana's front court, and I personally love it. I like Miles Turner. I like Thaddeus Young. I like the veteran presence they have on the bench. I think that this team can make some noise. I do not see them beating the Cavaliers, but I just also see a great starting 5. And they just got Lance Stevenson. Who knows what can go on when you have Lance Stevenson on the floor. I think Paul George needs to wake up. He's played some incredible basketball down the stretch, and I think he's going to be one of the hotter players in the first round. I think Jeff Teague is going to have to match up with Kyrie, and he can. He's a great defensive player. You're going to need to see a lot of consistency out of Indiana if they're going to want to make things somewhat interesting.
Okay. What do you think, Brandon?
Well, I see Zach's points. I would say that Paul George is coming in hot. But then again, we're looking at a team that kind of got it in the last week of the season. It was up in the air that last night. They could have very well been out. And that's not great going into the playoffs. I mean, not to say that Cleveland's been in any kind of flow going into this postseason. But as Zach was saying about the pieces, I do like their pieces. I don't like how they fit. I bet Indiana had a lot of high expectations coming into the season. I had high expectations for them too. I thought they were going to be a top 4 seed, at most top 5. They backed their way almost into the playoffs pretty much. And Jeff Teague is not the Jeff Teague that he used to be. Thaddeus Young isn't playing as consistently or seemingly as athletically as he used to in Brooklyn. And Paul George has been really inconsistent himself. I mean, he is getting hot at this point in the season, which matters. But one player isn't enough. And in terms of Cleveland's side, what they really need to do for the series is to defend the pick and roll better. About 2 weeks ago, they played Indiana at home. And Paul George had a hell of a game. But if you guys remember, that's the game that everybody kept talking about the day after because LeBron was screaming at Tristan Thompson on their way to the sideline about how to defend the pick and roll. I think Cleveland will be prepared by the time Saturday comes around, defend the pick and roll with Tristan Thompson now back in the lineup. And if they defend that better, I mean, I give Paul George a lot of respect, but I don't see this going more than 5 games.
Okay. All right, what about you, Zach? What's your prediction for this series?
I see this series going to 5 games as well. As much as I love Indiana's players on paper, I'm going to have to agree with Brandon in saying they don't fit properly. That's about it.
Okay. I see this series going to 6. I think Indiana will give them a good run. Honestly, I think every team in the Cavs' path will give them a good run just due to the lack of defense on the Cavaliers' part. And I feel like each team that they will face in the Eastern Conference has players that'll keep them frustrated and that'll make them lose a couple, maybe one. But I see the Cavs leaving in 6 after this series because I feel like Paul George is hitting at the right time and Miles Turner is, I think, personally, he's sort of a mismatch offensively for Tristan Thompson. So we'll see what happens.
100%.
But with that being said, let's move along to the West Coast here. Since I am the representative of the West Coast, we'll start off with the first matchup of the Warriors and the Blazers. Let's start with, who did we start with last time? Zach? Yeah, so Brandon, let's start you off. Let's see what do you think are some keys for both of these teams?
Well, I think in terms for Portland, we all know that they don't stand much of a chance. If they're going to get any, they need both Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum to go off about every game. These two need to combine for about 60-plus each game if they really want to stand a chance against this team. I just see way too many weapons on Golden State side of the ball. I mean, it's too difficult for Portland. And if just one of them is off, it's going to be a blowout.
Okay. What do you think, Zach?
My boy Dame came out yesterday and said Blazers in 6. And you know what? His confidence is sky high. That backcourt can flat out score, and I don't think Steph Curry's a great defender. With that in mind, I'm not saying that I think the Blazers are going to win the series. I'm saying that they have a chance to win a couple games and perhaps even steal one on the road. I think the series could go to 5 or 6 games.
Okay. Personally, I am a little biased, but at the same time, I do try to stick with the facts. The Warriors will sweep them. I have no doubt in that. And Damian Lillard, I love him. He's an Oakland native. Let's keep that in mind. And he can flat out ball. After all, he's the one. He pretty much carried the Blazers to the playoffs this year, except for the acquisition of Nurkic helped out in the second half. But with that being said, Warriors are going to no contest.
What's his health looking like?
Yeah,
what's Nurkic's health looking like?
I'm not sure. We'll have to keep that updated for the next pod.
Because to be honest, I think he can cause a lot of trouble down low. I think we've seen what he can do passing-wise, scoring-wise, and he can also shoot.
Absolutely.
I think if they can get him back, he can help them win a game. He's put up some monstrous stat lines this year.
It's true. We'll just have to wait and see. With that being said, Brandon, did you give your prediction?
Oh, in terms of how many games this is going to go, if CJ and Dame can put up 60-plus as an average, I'll give him a game.
Okay.
I'll give him a game, but who's defending Durant? Who's defending Steph? Who's defending Clay is a big point in this series. Who's defending Clay?
Because he's only 6'3", so.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a chance. And muscle-wise, Clay's secretly stronger than he looks. Yep. And Draymond is always a problem, whether it's about points, rebounds, assists, or defensively. I just don't see this going more than 5. I really can't. And I love Damian Lillard, but it's not going more than 5. It really can't.
Exactly. All right, with that being said, let's move along to our next marquee matchup. We've got the LA Clippers versus the Utah Jazz, which will, honestly, in my opinion, sneakily and mysteriously be one of the most interesting matchups this whole postseason, especially in the first round. All right, let's start with you, Zach. Let's hear some keys for both teams in order for this to be a good series.
This will be must-watch television. Both teams can flat out score at moment's notice. I think the Clippers have an edge in their guard game. I have nothing against Gordon Hayward, but I think Chris Paul, matched up with almost any point guard, will cause problems. I think, obviously, the Clippers are going to make some noise down low, but Rudy Gobert's defense can very well contain a DeAndre Jordan. Wait and see. I think both teams lined up against each other, it's pretty even. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, what do you think, Brandon?
I like Zach's points. I mean, Rudy Gobert is a defensive presence, but so is DeAndre Jordan. I see both of them canceling each other out. I don't think Derek Favors really can equal what Blake Griffin's production will be in this series, and I don't really see anybody. And Dante Exum is a very solid defender, but at the same time, I don't think he'll be able to handle Chris Paul. And I think
Gordon Hayward.
That's very true. That's very true, but I think Luke Mbah-a-Moute can do a very solid job, or at least make it difficult on him. And I feel like, at least for the Clippers' sake, they have a stronger bench. I think this series goes 7. I think it goes 7. It goes 7, and this will be the last series that this Clippers group wins because Golden State will probably rip them apart in the next round.
What do you think, Zach? What's your prediction?
I also don't think the Jazz will pull this one through. I think it'll be a huge wake-up call for NBA fans. I think the Jazz will win their first round series next year. I think they'll need to find some consistency health-wise moving forward. I know they won't be able to keep all their guys right now, but you can't. It's hard to kind of bring a Derek Favors back 3 quarters into the season. Let's just hope that he can return to old form come this playoff series.
Okay.
Clippers in 6.
Clippers in 6. All right. I'm disagreeing with both of you. The Jazz will take this. They'll take it in 6. Not in 7 because they won't finish in a game 7 in LA.
Wow.
But they will take it in 6 because length, and more length. If you look at their perimeter defenders, the shortest guy is Dante Exum. He's like 6'5", and he's a point.
Yeah.
You look at who else they got? Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood is probably one of the most underrated defenders in the league, and he's like 6'8". He's a Klay Thompson type of defender as well, and he won't let Redick get hot from 3. That being said, Gordon Hayward. Honestly, Gordon Hayward matched up against Andrew Wiggins when I went and saw them play, and he dropped, I don't know how many was it? It was
39.
39 points against.
Yeah,
Andrew
but
Wiggins.
you're acting like Andrew Wiggins is a defensive presence.
Well, he's very good on the defensive end. He's long, he's athletic. He's
better than Mbah Mute. That much I can say.
Really? I
do not think so.
Mbah Mute is a defender.
Mbah Mute is not a scorer. Let me tell you, he's there for defensive purposes only.
I understand, and that's what I'm trying to tell you is that Gordon Hayward can put up 39 on Wiggins. He can put up at least 30 on Mbah.
The thing is, he may be able to do that, but will he do it for a series, especially when everybody knows that's their best player and Doc will be game planning defensively for him?
Maybe he'll do that. Maybe he'll be doing that because nobody else wants to shoot the ball.
We'll see. But like I'm saying, Rudy Gobert also is an underrated offensive presence on the floor. He's very athletic.
I don't think he's underrated. I don't think he's underrated offensively.
Defensively, no. And he will show more offensive presence when it comes to this matchup, and he will challenge DeAndre Jordan at the rim. And Derek Favors, that's the only point of weakness that I can see that will cause problems is Blake Griffin. But Derek Favors, he came back. I saw him on I believe his second appearance back, and he looked good. He looked okay. Got in foul trouble early. But what I'm saying is this Utah Jazz team has been underrated all year long, and I see the Clippers just falling apart, and then the team itself in the offseason falling apart as well because they don't win. They don't win. They don't go past the semis, and it's because that core of stars never meshed. And
I think – go ahead. My fault.
With that being said, I take Utah in 6.
I also, to kind of both of your points, whatever we were talking about, Jack mentioned that if Utah will be probably win their first-round matchup next year, and you're saying that this Clippers team will probably fall apart. I think whichever team loses the series, we don't see in the playoffs next year. Because I think that if Utah loses, Gordon Hayward goes to play for his college coach and goes to Boston. And if the Clippers lose, I think they blow this thing up.
Chris Paul going to New Orleans?
We could see it. I don't know if he has really the temper to deal with AD Marcus Cousins. But that's another story.
All right, we have to move along. We took a long time on that one. Let's see. What do we got here? After them, 3 versus 6. Who do we got?
We have we didn't do the 2-7 yet, or the 3-6.
2-7's last.
Okay, we'll do the 3-6.
We've got the Houston Rockets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Our 2 MVPs. Well, honestly, there's only one MVP, James Harden, but that's also a discussion we've had many times. But with that being said, we have Westbrook versus Harden. Let's hear what you guys think. Let's start with you, Brandon.
I think we will have the highest scoring and most exciting series of the playoffs in this one. Neither team is known as a defensive prowess form of a team. And we're going to see both of these MVP picks going at each other. It's going to be fun. We're going to see a lot of points. We're going to see a lot of stat sheet stuffing. And I think I believe that Houston pulls this one out in 6.
Okay. What do you think, Zach?
All right, this is what I love about the Thunder, and we saw this last year. I know they collapsed against the Warriors, but I don't want to talk about that. Steven Adams is an absolute presence on the defensive end, especially come playoff time. I think the guy's extremely young, which just adds more reasoning as to why OKC gave him that huge contract. He hasn't performed super well offensively, but I think he's going to wake up in this series, and I think him with a combination of Sabonis, Taj Gibson, and his Cantor, I think that's going to be too much down low for Nene and Capella, but we're just going to have to wait and see. On the other hand, if the threes are pouring in, this series will be over before it starts. But I can't really make a prediction right now because it's a big what if on both sides. It's about who shows up. But if I'm going to play it safe, I'm going to say it's going to be Houston in 6 games.
Okay. Great. I'm going to have to be honest with you guys. I think Houston takes it in 5, not 6. They're going to get hot. Harden is obviously the better player than Russell Westbrook, and that will show in this series. I think that's the key. I mean, it's just who's going to show up more and who's going to be more consistent. And
obvious is a strong word, Todd.
It's obvious to me. I guess it's not as obvious to everyone else.
Okay.
But for me, it's obvious James Harden is the better player overall. And Russell Westbrook, the chinks in his armor will be exposed. And even if he does go off and ball and put up more triple-doubles every game that he plays, that won't be enough to stop this Houston team, which is clearly the better team as well on paper, as well as this whole season, and the record proves it. But with that being said, I know that you live by the 3, die by the 3. So if the 3's not hitting, I can see that the Thunder force maybe 6, 7 games, but Houston will win this series.
If I may, did anyone see Oladipo's game winner the other night?
I did.
The guy can ball. He's been a little inconsistent this year, but if that backcourt plays well together, and let's say Doug McDermott can put up some threes, I think Westbrook has some good players around him. Let's just hope if he's a little less selfish. Let's just hope. I want to see a Game 7. I want to see a Game 7.
A Game 7 will be fun, but I feel I know I said it'd be a high-scoring series, and I do, but at least on the Thunder side, I think it's going to be a main majority because of Westbrook's doing. I just think there's way too many weapons on Houston side. You have Harden, obviously, Eric Gordon, Lou Williams. You can keep going.
Lou
will. I just don't know how long.
Ariza.
That's true.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to the last matchup. Last matchup includes brother versus brother, Gasol versus Gasol. We've got the Spurs and the Grizzlies. All right, who are you guys taking? Let's start with you, Zach. Let's hear your take.
I love the Grizzlies' ball movement. I love the Grizzlies' selflessness. I don't know if you guys saw that stat. I know Todd did. That Marc Gasol in however many minutes hasn't had a technical foul. I think
Mike Conley.
There's something really important.
It was Mike Conley who hasn't had any technicals.
Oh, well.
Who did I say?
Gasol. You said Gasol.
Oh, sorry. I meant Mike Conley. But my point is, in the playoffs, I know the Spurs are a very composed team. I know they don't get angry very easily, but I think the Grizzlies are very calm. I think they can make it somewhat interesting. I think this series can go to 6 games, but I think the Spurs are just too loaded.
Okay. Brandon, let's hear your take.
Going into yesterday, I had the Spurs in 7. But after hearing that, what's his name? Name is escaping me right now. Plays for Memphis, defender on the wing.
Tony Allen,
yes. That Tony Allen will be out for at least this series. He would give Kawhi a tough time, but now that he's not going to be there, I say Spurs in 5. I say Spurs in 5, but I feel like if Mike Conley outplays whoever's guarding him, which I think will happen, and if Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph outplay the other Gasol and LaMarcus, it gives them maybe a chance to push it to 6.
Okay. I have to agree with that as well. I think it's the Spurs in 5. I love Mike Conley, let me tell you. I love Mike Conley. He's a great player. He has the most expensive and lucrative contract in the league for a player who hasn't really put up, that great of numbers or that great of a resume. However,
you got to value consistency.
well, he's consistent, but at the same time, that consistency hasn't really put him over the top either. But that being said, I do think the Grizzlies put up a good fight. They'll be close games. They'll come down to the wire. But Kawhi, like, what else do you expect? And when it comes to Greg Popovich in the playoffs, I do not bet against him unless it's against my Warriors. And in that case, I think it's a close series either way. So that being said, Kawhi Leonard will be the one that pushes the Spurs over the top. And actually, if it's not a sweep, I honestly feel like it's going to be a sweep. But if it's not, it'll be at most 5. All right, Zach, what were you saying?
The Spurs are such a good team. They're loaded. I've just seen Popovich kind of sit back and relax a lot of the year. And I've seen them lose to some pretty bad teams. And I think I love the Grizzlies a lot. I love their team on paper. I love how they play as a team. We all saw what they did to Golden State early this year. I don't see it going to – I see it going to at least 6 games. That's all I have to say.
Okay, then. All right, guys. So it looks like we have our predictions and everything set up for this first round of the playoffs. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure we'll be chatting it up in the chat room when it comes to the games later on this upcoming week. But with that being said, let's just hear your overall finals predictions. Starting with you, Zach, then Brandon, then I'll finish off.
Let's go Raptors. Let's go Warriors. Let's see the Warriors win in 6 games.
6 games. All right, Brandon, what do you think?
Damn, Zach, really? You think they're going to get past Cleveland in the second round?
I do.
Well, I'm going to be boring and go with it's going to be a three-peat this year in the finals, regardless what everybody thinks and how Cleveland's played defensively as of late. Just about last week or the week before, I think it was, Cleveland showed we are in chill mode right now. When we want to turn it on, we can. And they did that in Boston, and they shut them down in every facet. I think when it's –
Atlanta, too.
Huh?
And they did it in Atlanta, too?
They did it – well, they did it in the first half, and then those, lazy and bad-playing defense Cavaliers came back out in the second half. And Atlanta was hitting their shots. But it's going to be Golden State, Cleveland. It's going to 7 games, and I don't have a pick yet.
Come on. You can't leave us hanging.
If I may.
Not yet. I mean, I got to see how the first round goes. I got to see how they're playing.
No.
I mean, I'll go Cleveland. Cleveland's repeating. Cleveland's going to repeat. Cleveland's going to repeat because nobody on Golden State, not one player, has shown they can show up in the clutch when it comes late in the playoffs. They haven't. Steph's played poorly in the finals, up to his standards, the way he's produced in the regular seasons the last few years. And
Draymond Green. And
Draymond Green put up a monster triple-double and lost in Game 7. But I'm just saying.
He's still clutch. He's still clutch.
Yeah, but is he gonna be the difference between him and LeBron?
You're right. No.
And Durant's kryptonite. Hold up. And Durant's one kryptonite is LeBron James. And if he's playing, I'm just saying, it's Cleveland.
Okay.
If I may, one more thing to say. When the Cavaliers and Raptors last battled in the Eastern Conference Finals a year ago, you saw Tristan Thompson, LeBron, they got scrappy. And who did the Raptors have to back them up? Nobody. But we got PJ Tucker now. We got Ibaka. We're not backing down. We're going to see a scrappy series when it gets there. And Brandon's not going to be laughing on his chair. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Exactly. It's not, but okay.
Okay. All right, my turn. I see the Cavs taking an early exit against the Raptors as well.
Wow.
I think this is the year that they get the I've said this consistently over the board no matter who I talk to.
Wow.
This isn't for the show. I've said this consistently. This is the year that they have an early exit.
All right.
The Warriors will defeat either the Celtics or the Raptors, whoever it is, in 5 or 6 in the finals.
You guys,
don't worry.
I know we got a Raptors fan, and I know Todd has his ideas, but we really seeing Toronto beat Cleveland. Come on now. They're not beating Kyrie and LeBron. It's not
Listen,
happening.
it has to happen eventually. It has to
Yeah,
happen.
and it's not happening this year. I'm
It's
just saying.
happening this year.
Hey,
If any
wait,
year
hold
has
up.
shown us any proof or evidence, it's this one.
Guys,
I might have missed it. Did LeBron announce his retirement?
Yeah, he did.
Did he? Did he? I don't think
When
so.
he started
I'm still
complaining
going
in the regular season for a playmaker. That's
Yeah,
when
well, he's been doing
Gentlemen.
He's been doing that since Miami, and he still made the finals. So I'm just saying.
gentlemen, 2 words. Kyrie's knees.
What about him?
What
about
Brandon's
him?
not phased. Brandon's
What
not phased.
about him?
LeBron's fine.
I'm sorry. Can Kyrie's knees last a 7-game series?
It won't go
Okay.
7. It won't go 7. It won't go 7.
His knees might force a game 7.
You got.
We'll see it. That's why I love basketball. You have to wait and see.
We can always update these when things go through in the first, second round. We can always take a look back. But I do think that the Cavs either are defeated in the semis or the Eastern Conference Finals, because one of those two teams will get hot and will beat them because of their bad defense. And
Damn. Okay.
and the Warriors
got me baffled right now.
The Warriors are just as equally vulnerable, in my opinion.
Come on, Todd. I know everybody gets on you in the chat because they say you're biased because you're a Warriors fan. You could be straight up with people. No. Y'all are walking into the finals. It's not a problem. We're walking into the finals. It's not a problem.
I do see this year the Cavs having the most trouble. LeBron
of
having
the
the most
two.
trouble in years past.
Listen, of the two, I think after all the regular season, everybody's been talking about, who has more of an easier route. Everybody said Cleveland in the earlier part of the season. Now it looks like it's going to be Golden State. I will give it to Golden State. It looks like they're going to go smoothly through the playoffs, more smoothly than Cleveland. But both are still going to be there. Let's be honest.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a three-peat. I wouldn't mind us beating the Cavs again.
Oh.
And letting them be healthy. And us beating them.
Oh, we could say healthy from the year before when we didn't have Kyrie and Love, because definitely if they were healthy, we were beating them.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right, I got you.
And
just end the video.
And Draymond won't get suspended this time, and we will win.
You go hope.
Just end the video.
When Draymond gets into the playoffs and he gets aggressive, that leg starts flying. If it hits a few people again,
someone has to do it.
Suspension.
Someone has to do the dirty work. It's fine. All right, guys. It's been a good one. I can't wait to see how everything unfolds. See you in a week.
All right, man.
Everyone.
See ya, people.